Hello and welcome to another episode of the Neverstraightanswer podcast, the podcast that aims to cover a wide range of topics from conspiracy theories to popular culture and news. I'm your host Gaz, and joined from a remote, undisclosed location somewhere in the heart of Glossop, you know him, he's my co-host, he's Times Like These Taylor.
Ooh, yeah, that's somewhere.
Whit woo.
Very quiet. Welcome, everybody.
Oh, calm down, folks, calm down. There's enough of him for everyone. Welcome. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome everybody.
Hope you guys are well and keeping safe, and more importantly warm, because it's bloody freezing at the moment.
Yeah, tell me about it, man.
It's been snowing, raining, then
Has
snowing
it been
again.
Man? Yours, the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been snowing like quite heavily. It snowed the other night. I sent you a photo, if you remember.
Yeah, and I sent you a photo back.
And you sent me one back of snow, I was like, oh, here we go. What fresh hell is this? And then, I went out today and there was snow on the ground, so I'm expecting more. So yeah, that's about it. In terms of weather, there's the weather.
Yeah. There's the weather report for this week.
We do have a pretty awesome episode ready for you today. This week we're going to be talking about UFOs, specifically UFOs of the Foo variety.
Yes.
Foo. Glowing orbs and cigar-shaped objects that have left airmen puzzled during World War II and ever since. It's going to be a good one. When the Foo Fighters are involved. It's always going to be a good episode. But before all that, what have you been up to, Mr. Taylor? You had a good week?
I've had a quiet week, I think.
It's been quiet. Yeah. It's always a quiet week. It's like, who's up to anything exciting at the moment?
Well, you can't leave the house, can you?
It all comes down to what box set have you watched. Have you watched any good telly, any good documentaries?
I watched a few films, but nothing really
come on,
about,
what have you watched? What have you watched? Any old school classics? Anything that you'd recommend?
Analyze This.
What's that?
It's about a gangster who he's having like palpitations and like he's getting stressed. Right. So he's not feeling right, and he thinks it's a mental thing, which it ends up being. And it's a comedy. It's a good old film.
Okay, yeah. So I'll check that out. I'm always open to anyone recommending me a film. If you want to do that online, do it on Twitter. Best probably place to recommend us anything and speak to us. I've been watching this week. Been rewatching Heroes. Save the cheerleader, save the world. I've been doing all the old box sets in it, so it's like done Lost.
Oh yeah, you'll be back on that next week.
I did Preacher last week, which was awesome. Which is really good rewatch. I started watching True Blood again, which is a good series, but I think that's it. Once you've done that once, it's a one stop. You don't need to repeat it. Heroes, I thought it's been a while, since so Save the Cheerleader, Save the World. So I got bored at the same point. I got bored every time around bloody season 3. Yeah, but I was starting thinking about the actor in it. Do you know, there's a guy, Greg Gernberg, I think he's called. He's an American TV actor. He's probably best known for Matt Parkman in Heroes, but he always shows up in stuff, doesn't he? Because I was watching Lost, like I say, and he appeared as the pilot in the pilot of Lost.
I've never seen it.
You never seen it?
No, never been
interested. Want to watch, mate? I tell you what, if you've never watched Lost, watch Lost.
Those who've watched it have turned around and said, "There's no point watching it."
Those who have watched the Game of Thrones, those who have watched Game of Thrones say exactly the same thing, and they're always still telling me I should watch it, and I'm like, hell no. Anyway. Yeah. He's appeared in Star Wars, The Force Awakens. He's appeared in a number of things, but it turns out that he's like a childhood friend of J.J. Abrams. So, like, no wonder he gets cast in everything a bit. J.J. I wonder what it just makes me wonder what the cast of Heroes are up to now, because it was like I was watching it and my brother said to me, he goes, Peter Petrelli's the guy who plays Rocky's son. Because I just rewatched all the Rockies as well, and he does indeed, and I think he's in a Christina Aguilera video or something like that from back in the day. Possibly. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Other than that, so possibly, I've been doing Heroes again. Yeah. So and plus I had a dentist appointment and had a fill-in. So my week's been equally chiller and chilled.
Yeah.
Good. So, yeah.
At least you got out.
I got out. Got out the house. I have actually got out a few times this week, which has been nice. But like obviously sticking to the social distancing and wearing my mask and all that. Yeah. So yeah, make sure you do. Other than that, what else have you been doing?
Just researching, mate. Just like I was saying about UFOs. I've been looking more into that. To be honest, the last couple of months,
you said you were watching some UFO documentaries and stuff, so I'm expecting some excellent topics on the horizon for the podcast.
I got a list of them. Nice.
Doesn't that make you fucking excited? Some other exciting stuff. Last week's Chain Connections.
Yes.
Oh my days! Thank you so much to everybody who played along at home last week.
Yeah, it was a good one, wasn't it?
We had some super wrong answers. Amazing. Thank you so much.
What did we have?
Oh my days. We got so many. Right. So if you don't know, we put out 3 clues in the form of a video. We put it out over Twitter and Facebook and stuff. Yeah. We've had a variety of answers. A few people guessed Doctor Who's TARDIS for some reason. I'm not sure if it's the noise in the audio clue that made people think that. Or the falling without, flying without flying or fall, whatever that clue. We had someone who guessed Niagara Falls. Said falling without flying. They said that also there's a dinosaur themed mini golf park near there that has an erupting volcano. So I like the logic behind people's thinking with their answers. And one person even messed if it was the Millennium Falcon, and someone guessed an apple.
An apple?
Yeah.
That's
is that like Newton? That's what made me think. It's like started thinking of gravity and stuff. One person did crack it. One fucking person.
Oh my days! It wasn't a hard one either, to be honest.
Well done to. Not Dave Grohl, Nathan from Glasgow in Scotland. Thank you, Nathan, who guessed the connection. You're fucking amazing. Congratulations. And we had over about 500 people view that video, and plus however many people listen to the podcast. And Nathan was the only person this week. So
nice one.
What was the answer, Taylor?
The answer was the ISS,
the International Space Station. Exactly.
Yes, because people always think it flies. It doesn't. It falls. It's the gravity that holds it to the Earth.
Okay. That noise, the sound was actually sounds from the ISS as well. Yeah. So well done. To Nathan, who is our Smarty Pants of the week this week.
You Smarty Pants.
Well done.
Good lad. Smarty Pants.
Congratulations to you. So we've got a bunch more clues this week to deliver throughout the episode. So pay attention, and maybe you can join the ranks of Harriet and Nathan in our Smarty Pants Hall of Fame. The clues can be audio, cryptic, or visual, depending on whether we make a video that week. And you'll be able to try and work out the connections and what the overall theme is. So this week,
it's not that easy, is it, to do riddles or connecting stuff?
It's not, is it? And we got some of the times when we were doing the riddles, some of the people going, you know what, that was dead easy, and it's like, well, the shoe's on the other foot now, isn't it?
It is. You're in the spotlight, people.
So the first clue, I believe, is the audio clue.
Yes.
And I'm going to play that for you right now. Ooh. So, it's other than making me need a wee.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, I'm glad I just went beforehand.
So there you go. What could that mean? What could it pertain to? What could it be? What could it be? Who knows? Well, we'll find out. We've got another clue for you later on in the show. But first, A big up to our affiliate this week, which is the Craft Gin Club. Every month, they select one of the world's finest small batch gins and send it a full-size bottle to each member, along with a range of complementary gourmet treats, a copy of the club magazine, and basically members love being a part of the Craft Gin Club. So if you're into
Join
gin,
along.
Get over there. We've got a fab deal where you can get your first 2 boxes at 50% off. Just follow the link in the description and make sure to use the discount code, which is there also, which is AFFTWO50 or 05. I don't know, it's in the description.
It's there.
What do you want? Anyway, yeah. So, do you think do I look like a fucking shoebox salesman? I don't know.
Nope.
Well,
polish you.
There we go. Got gin. We sell gin over here. So this week, we promised a good episode this week, and we've hung up for, I think, like, going straight into it. This week, we're going to be talking all about the Foo Fighters. Yeah, that's right. The epic battle for humanity where our hero, Dave Grohl, rose up against the alien scourge.
No. Is that
not right?
Dave Grohl? No.
I'm only messing. I do know that's not right, but, wouldn't it be awesome if that was the topic of the show? I wish that was actually the topic of the show, but, I mean, what we're going to be talking about isn't far off that amazing. Tonight we will be talking about the Foo Fighters and not Dave Grohl and his rock stylings, but...
No. Even though they are a good group.
Oh, great group. No dispute. I mean, I think like everyone will agree, apart from yourself, who's in the 1%, that if you was an award for outstanding person of the year, Dave Grohl would win it most years. He's a super guy, right? Anyway, besides, we're not here to talk about Dave fucking Grohl, right? Amazing as he is.
The proper stuff now.
So, Foo Fighters in terms of UFOs,
Yes.
The term Foo Fighter was used by the Allied air pilots back in World War II to describe a variety of UFOs or mysterious aerial phenomenon seen over the skies in both the European and Pacific oceans and stuff around those parts. Foo Fighters basically describe a type of UFO reported by majority of them were reported by the 415th Night Fighter Squadron.
Yeah.
Right. And basically, they were sighted by a lot of pilots, and they were. How would you describe them? They were described as like kind of flashing balls of light, weren't they? A lot of the time.
Yeah, a lot of the time, they were like globes and like just following or just flying beside them, or like sometimes even testing the pilots to
see what the maneuverability was like.
See the reaction to the craft and that. But it was mostly, it looked like in intelligence, just watching the craft. That was it.
I think they were taken very seriously, the accounts.
Yeah.
There were cases where, heavyweight scientists such as David Griggs and I think it was Lucius Alberts, they basically had reported them. The phenomenon was never explained, but most of the information about the disturbance or the issue was never kind of released. It's just basically what the accounts at the time. Do you know what I mean? Word of mouth, how they put the story across over the years. I mean, when I first heard of Foo Fighters as an alien sort of UFO sort of thing, I always kind of heard of it as like these glowing orbs that attacked, Allied as well as German planes.
I don't think our allies would have been able to succeed on not getting away from them.
Well, this is the thing in terms of the maneuverability and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I mean, in terms of the what do you know about him? Because in terms of what was,
go on,
no, go for it.
I was just going to say, like like Foo Fighters has come a long way from. There's a line of names basically that have been called, like, let's say, right, in the 18th century, used to like in reported papers, they were called flying saucers or flying discs. Then it went in World War II at the end of around about 1942, around about 1942, the Foo Fighters come out.
Yeah.
Then it ended up being UFOs, which was actually deliberately put in by supposedly the CIA, so there was something to say, oh, that was just a military craft or something like that. Then it was UFO Bs, which was put in Project Blue Book, which in the paperwork they were put as UFO Bs, but then found out that B stood for ships, alien ships. And then you had UAOs, which ended up being unidentified aerial objects.
Yeah.
And then it turned out, then we had them in the sea, which ended up being USOs, unidentified submersible object. Then now you've got UAPs, which is unidentified aerial phenomenal.
Well,
and another one's just come out now that they put around, which is AAV.
Yeah, so what's an AAV?
Anomalous aerial vehicle.
Right, so there's a lot of these classifications on it. I mean, I think Foo Fighters actually came from a comic book, didn't it?
Yes,
like the word Foo.
There's loads of names at
because,
first.
actually, in terms of where it came from, the word Foo was used in English by at least the 19th century. Dictionary.com reference says that it was it comes from foo-foo or poo-poo, used to refer to something basically inferior or or not correct or not as good as a derogatory
second
term.
Place, not
first.
Exactly,
something a bit kind of, but also was common on ships in the early 19th century. So also it kind of gave a technical name for something, a name that's been forgotten, sort of thing. That's why they used it on the ships. So it was a nonsense word, foo. So, and it emerged in popular culture during like the 1930s and began being used by the cartoonist Bill Holman, who included it in his comic strip Smokey Stover, right? Fireman cartoon strip with a foo. He used it. So I think that was his slogan. Do you know what I mean? But Holden claims that he found it at the bottom of a Chinese figure, the word, and just used it. But one of the first instances of a Foo Fighter, because obviously it was the radar guys who were looking into the Foo, or basically started calling it a Foo, based off the comic strip. It was first reported on November 1944, so it was towards the end of the war, and basically these pilots had gone out, to do a night sweep or whatever, and they claimed that there was at least 10 lights in a row. There were 8 to 10 of them in a row, glowing fierce orange, and then one of the pilots saw them off the right wing. They checked with Allied ground radar, but they didn't see anything, thinking that the lights might be some kind of German air weapon. They turned the planes to basically have a look, and then the lights vanished. So this was one of the first eyewitnesses back in 1944 of an actual case. Do you know what I mean?
44, I believe it was ramped up. There was more cases in 44 than any other time through the war.
I mean, in terms of the first sighting back in November, when they were flying over Germany, so it could rise in speculation that we know that the Germans were doing technology, and stuff like that. I mean, could it be some sort of glare from one of the rockets? I know they were working on the V2s, so could it be some sort? I mean, they see these orbs, but I mean, again, it's like seeing something and knowing what it is and making an assumption based off the knowledge you have at the time. It's one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think that the pilots are professional and well know what they would see out there to turn around and say, well, I saw a fucking object the other day. You should have seen it spin off like, fuck, I've never seen anything like it. Well, come on, chaps, down the old beer and have some beer and
like I say, because according to legend, because of the lack of a better name, the Foo Fighters stuck. So the men of the 415 started calling those incidents fucking Foo Fighters. And that stuck. It ended up kind of going into the zeitgeist of what they were called, if you like.
Because I believe the Vietnam War, I believe there was they ended up calling a lot of them spotting over there UFOs like Foo Fighters as well. They brought in the same term. Yeah.
So, I mean, another report says here that, they describe the craft as being fiery, glowing red, white and orange. Some of the pilots described them as resembling Christmas lights, and then reported that they streamed off like an aircraft, if you like, making wild turns and then just simply vanishing. I mean, it does kind of indicate that they've got sort of maneuverability capabilities that are
they've got a
more advanced than ours.
They're using it as scouts. I can't see. I mean, to me, it seems like the little balls that come out that they see, which you can see on loads of videos, like Gulf Breeze. There was a place in Gulf Breeze in Florida where every single night of the week you can see an object, a UFO, come up to the area and drop these like little ball kind of things going around doing weird fucking things and then going back in and then going off.
Well, like I say, I mean, the first sightings were over Germany, but they were seen over France, over the UK, America. They've been seen all over the place. In the European operations, they were often named Kraut Fireballs, but for the most part called Foo Fighters. The military took the sightings very seriously. Obviously, these mysterious sightings could have been a secret German weapon, but further investigation revealed that Germany and Japan pilots had reported similar sightings. Because I always, when I heard Foo Fighters, I always thought it was down to battles. You see, I think the first time it ever came up for me, it was a story about the American and the Japanese involved in a dogfight, and it could have been potentially Pearl Harbor, but like there was a Foo Fighter incident between them both, and it was a case of that they both must have saw something. I couldn't give you the exact specifics over that, but that's quite exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is she saying? In January 1945, Time magazine carried out a story entitled Foo Fighters, in which they reported on balls of fire that had been followed by the AAF night fighters over the months, and that the pilots had named it Foo Fighters according to Time magazine. Descriptions of the phenomenon varied, but most pilots agreed. Most of the pirates agreed. Most pilots agreed that the mysterious lights followed their aircraft quite closely at high speeds.
Yeah. This was the problem. Like, because they didn't know what it was, what they were doing, and the chances of collision were pretty high because they were still they had to move in the sky in a close units. How
about the idea that they were it was some sort of illusion caused by the conditions in flying? You got your cockpit glare, those type of things, or even delusion. Potentially some sort of aurora borealis type phenomenon. Do you know what I mean?
Nah, see, there's a thing called.
Or could it be the oxygen levels? Because obviously they're all like, "Oh, I'm sorry," like Dennis Hopper in Blue Velvet. Do you know what I mean? Like, could it be that they're taking in too much oxygen and they're in these stressful conditions.
But again, all of them having the same.
True, yeah. I mean, but again, it's one of those where the stories start coming out, and they liken their symptoms or liken their experience to something like that. That's the reason, isn't it? It's like, could you argue that? I mean, the balls of fire phenomenon was reported from the Pacific theatre of operations, as well as going into the European as well. Balls of fire resembling large burning spheres were just basically hanging around in the sky, if you like. Do you think that this is the similar thing we get today? Because I think we still see these spheres. You've got an interesting theory on this, haven't you, actually, about them being potentially like drones or scouts?
Yeah, I seem it seems to me, with the amount I've looked at and over the years, and it seems the case that they are like scouts, that they're like little drones that come out, look for something, and then go back in or go off and do whatever they're going to do. I don't know how technical the scouts, these little balls, are, but I wouldn't have thought they would be too technical to actually. It's not one of them where they land in front of you and a couple of aliens will walk out and go, "You're right there, fella." You know what I mean?
I mean, these got to have. I've got a story here about an interaction with a Foo Fighter. I mean, in terms of colliding with one or entering an aerial dogfight with one, what do you reckon the chances are?
I think the Allies would have tried to shoot it down at one point or another.
Well, on one occasion, the gunner of a B-29 aircraft managed to hit one with his gunfire. So
did he do any damage?
It did cause it to break up several large pieces, which fell on a building below, then set on fire. There was speculation that the phenomenon could be related to the Japanese fire balloon campaign.
Oh, right, lighting up them balloons and letting them all out.
So, as with the European Foo Fighters, no aircraft actually reported having actually being attacked by one or being engaged in a dogfight with one. They were just reported as being balls of fire or Foo Fighters or,
intelligent gatherers.
Do you think that's what they were, like intelligence gathering?
They would have done something.
Potentially, yeah. You
know what I mean? Why crawl yourself up?
I kind of believe it's like I've said this in previous episodes. What about imagine time travel, right? And imagine we kind of invent time travel in the future. What would it? I mean, if it went into a commercial basis, what would it be used for? History, teaching history firsthand. Yeah, being able to go back to these important points in history and witnessing it. So it's funny how these objects or, spaceships, we talked about it with the Mothman, we've talked about it with Roswell. There's all these points in history that seem to be really important where UFO craft seem to show up. Could it be
very much so.
that it's us travelling back from the future to witness these events happen? Do you know what I mean? And in terms of like these fiery orbs, maybe that's the illusion that they, from the other side of that, that's what we'd perceive. Whereas me being in the orb, I could witness events as they played out unharmed. Do you know what I mean?
There is cigar shape and
Tic Tac shapes. Well, maybe, this is it. Technology gets better, doesn't it? You get your cigar ones. They might have been like the Robin Reliant of time machines, and now they've upgraded to the spherical herb one.
Upgraded them.
Upgraded now. Got the iPhone of balls of fire. Nice. Well, I mean, it's
iPhone.
How is that any more wild than anything else? You know what I mean? It's like it could be. It's a coincidence that these things show up. But
there's for one, just because they've changed the name doesn't mean it's gone away. You know what I mean? They keep changing the name and they change the name for a reason. You know what I mean? And there's always been a reason behind it. Like, we don't want to talk about these kind of things. But I know they say too many witnesses.
I know they say that they didn't, attack them or anything like that, but they did cause statical phenomena around.
Yeah, which seems to be the case with these kind of things. I mean, that's in a way that's testing the plane to see how far can I do it before it breaks down.
So do you think they were scouts of some description, or
Yeah, because history puts it as UFOs have been coming here since 47,
UFOs.
Since Roswell.
Yeah.
And it's not the case. It's the case that they've been all the way through history.
Well, look,
it's more prominent now.
There's been like a lot of
nuclear bombs.
There's been a lot of generals coming out recently. I mean, there was that Israeli colonel who came out and just said, "Well, we've known about it for years. We've been actually Israel and America have both had dealings and communications with another species or another alien extraterrestrial species." And it's something that they're not ready to come out public, but they're already in contact with us. Do you know what I mean?
To be honest, I don't think they can.
Well,
I don't think they can because they've had some meetings where they've got together and gone, right, we need to tell the public this.
Would you? The public might not understand right yet. I mean, we're getting there, only that, but like majority.
Why
of
would
us,
you trust them again?
Well, I don't know.
Why would you trust them again if they've lied over that? Well, we know something's been lying over 9/11. We know something lied over Iraq War. We know something lied over, this, that, and the other. There's always a case that we know they lied.
Are we being lied to? Oh, we've got an interesting episode next week. If you're interested in those types of things, whether we're being lied to on a global scale. Going back to the Foo Fighters, saw them in concert once. They were really, really good. I'm sorry, I'm going off track. The Foo Fighters, there's been many reports of them around the world. For example, there are some notable sightings. One in September 1941 in the Indian Ocean. There was a similar to what would later be reported as a Foo Fighter from the deck of the SS Pulaski. Which was a Polish merchant vessel. Two sailors reported to see a strange orb glowing with a greenish light about half the size of a full moon. It appeared to them. They basically alerted British officers who watched the object and whilst it moved around for a bit. And then just basically it was all over within an hour. So there you go. Also, there's a report of from Charles R. Charles R. Bastin of the 18th Air Force, who reported one of the first encounters of Foo Fighters over the Belgian-Holland area. He described them as two fog lights flying at a high rate of speed that could change direction rapidly.
1992.
This was back in this was one of the first reports. So this was
a picture of
pretty early on.
Wicked picture of one in 1992 triangle in Belgium, and it's one of the best picture images that we've ever had.
Right. Okay. I think this is it. They were lacking on evidence in terms of high quality evidence. Do you know what I mean?
You know what? I don't think we are.
Well, why is it not so? Why is it then when the government turn around and say, "Oh, we're going to release some evidence now"? Yeah, you're going to be wowed, and then it's some sort of aerial tracking. So it's what the pilot would have been seeing on his radars and stuff. Going, look, we've got a bogey. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah, but the thing is, they've got to be able to say something so you can sue him, so you can take him to court and go, "Here's the evidence."
Yeah, I suppose.
How many people have turned around and said, there's UFOs around, there's aliens, the government's hiding this? Why haven't they sued anybody? Yeah. Why haven't they took people to court?
Because they've all been told to sign disclosure agreements, aren't they? This is the reason why, like, astronauts, when you speak to them, they're always dead cagey. And it's because, you know what, they've been told, if you just go along with it, you'll have a good life. We won't. But then everyone's going, did you go to space, really? Did you go to space? And then he's like, fuck off.
It's sort of like World War II, where people who were gay who couldn't turn out and say they were, but back then you couldn't say it then, but you can now. the future will be, we've seen it now, the evidence will come later on.
Yeah, I suppose.
That's the way it's looking.
Well, this is it. This is getting on now because, I mean, it's like we've been waiting for this evidence since the 1940s. So, you know, I mean, in terms of going back to the 415th Squadron, so like I say, there was their first encounter, but a couple of days later, there were two more flight crews who sighted lights over Germany as well. They reported exactly the same. Large orange glow seemed to rise from the Earth about 10,000 feet, trailing the fighters for about approximately 2 minutes. After that, the lights peeled off and turned away, flying along, and then just disappeared.
A flight in America was in 1961, I think it was flying through a storm, and all of a sudden a lightning, what they call bolt lightning, which is a ball of lightning that just, you know, hovers in your room.
Yeah.
And slightly moves, but it goes very quickly.
Yeah.
Now, there was a ball that turned out in like that, what you described, turned out in the centre of the aircraft for like minutes and then slowly went back. And there was a scientist sat there and he knew all about ball lightning. And he's been working on it for 30 years
So
now.
he knows when it's ball lightning and when it's not. Yeah, so because this is what they try and put it down to.
It couldn't be.
Well, it's funny.
But the thing of the disappearing and going through things as well, that's another aspect as well, that these things can go through walls, go through metal, go through glass and not have any like.
I mean, this is it because they're not saying that it was, and I mean, how can you get 10 balls of ball lightning in a row that follow each other in formation? Do you know what I mean? That's bullshit. But I mean,
that just makes me believe that they're controlled.
Like I said, there was an example there from a Air Force pilot, but basically, what was it? He was on an ocean liner. Do you know, on the Polish merchant vessel? Yeah. I've got one here about basically a carrier, a US Air Force carrier. Yeah. Oh. So, where is it? Sorry. So
up on deck.
They were on. So basically, two witnesses. Yeah. So here we go. They were on an aircraft carrier, and they noticed they were over chilling around the South Pacific, and they both witnessed an entire entire crew witnessed some bald lights, and then they also went out again, and on the second sighting, which occurred in the early 1960s. So, like, there was a couple of occasions there where it was people on boats that had seen these things. And now, on the boats, I can say, they might have been a bit more kind of leaning towards this ball lightning theory, because they've gone from a different perspective, But when you're in a plane and it's flying next to you or alongside you, that's different. That's not like you can't chalk that down to a natural phenomenon. And like I say, when there's 8 to 10 of them, do you know what I mean?
In a line as well, actually promoting a
sorry if I was a bit rambling.
Some intelligence there.
Yeah. But,
there is some intelligence there, and it just all comes down to it's great technology that it's either us, which I don't think it's fully us. So partly yes, I've started to believe that it's like the TRB ones, the triangles, are more likely to be ours than anyone else's. But you're still getting other shapes, and you're still getting abductions. You're still getting
but the other
light
shapes just makes me think it's research and development, innit? It's like, by having other shapes and designs. It's like, look at cars, right? We never just built a car and said, right, we built a car, it works, that'll do. We started making them in all different designs, or trying to find the best aerodynamicness of the vehicle. All these different things which dictate what it looks like, So, like, when you talk about cigar shape things, another thing that... Right, all right then. So, think of it as if it was the Nazis, right, or the Germans who was responsible for these flying glowing orbs, right? Think about it in a progressional evolutionary sense, yeah, they're building a V2 rocket, yeah. So they're already building cylindrical flying things that they're aiming at things, and it's going to go on a rocket, right? Then you've also got planes that are a cylindrical flying object, right? So to build your UFO, so if the Nazis did indeed master jet propulsion and anti-grav and all this like they supposedly did, then what would be their first logical design be? It'd be a cigar-shaped object, wouldn't it? Because that's how planes are, that's how rockets are. That's
how submarines are.
That's how submarines are. So, basically, if I gave you that task as a designer and said, right, come up with our new UFO anti-grav plane, your first design would be a cigar-shaped object, because that's all flying things. That's how all designers know what a flying thing looks like. It's a cylindrical object, right?
Just take off the wings.
Now, once you start playing with that, you realise, oh, shit, actually, that doesn't work as well as we thought. And you start stripping it back and making it work for purpose. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong in that sense. But
that makes me believe there was something like a Nazi project where they were trying.
But there has to have been something beforehand.
Oh, of course, but that's whatever. I think the cigar-shaped objects come into it, because I think that was probably one of the first iterations. I think they were working on those V2s at the time. About 1944. So Hitler was using them in 1944 as part of against Belgium.
Yeah, but then to me, why didn't he use them as a weapon to actually hit the Spitfires?
Oh well, he used them against he used them on fucking places, didn't he? Because he was using cigar wingless planes like V2s. He was sending them, but that's what they were. They put a destination in and sent them. Yeah. And then they got and just landed and fucked you up.
Yeah, but for the Foo Fighter, if they were in control of the Foo Fighters, because
what I'm saying is, could it be mistaken? Those orange glows be mistaken for the jet or the
like
the
you said,
glow?
Control of them. Like you won't get 10 in a row.
Well, that's true, actually. I did say that. Yeah,
different directions. Why is it just going towards that plane and then all of a sudden it's changed direction? Now it's watching me, and why hasn't it gone out? It's been watching me for the last 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's all them little questions like these are professional pilots who've seen the good and the worst up there. You know what I mean? So they should know what they're seeing out there, and if they're coming back going, there's an object out there, it was following us, so it must have had intelligence. You need to look at it, and the Air Force are going, nah, it's this, that, or the other. But then they've had to be forced to do it before Project Blue Book. You know what I mean? It's a case of there is something there, you have to look at it.
So do you think? Personally, I like to think it was rather UFOs observing what was going on, because obviously it was a turbulent time, and like I say, it could also be us from the future observing. I always say, what we see now, we might come to later understand as being us. You know what I mean?
I agree with that one, because that is a possible. That is a very possible one, because time travel is going to be such a complicated thing to use. You know what I mean? Like the internet now, it's going to be such complicated, because you're going to.
But imagine how describing the internet and how the world is now using it to somebody 30, 40 years ago. You know what I mean? That concept would be so radical. In terms of the infrastructure and how everybody communicates using it. How everyone uses it, to implement something like time travel into that, into society, and then the repercussions of the use would be mind-boggling, wouldn't it? But this is it. It's like there's got to be ways of, like I say, in an observational capacity where you'd be able to use it and not interfere. And that'd be an ideal way, in terms of you see a glowing orb or something that's, And people report seeing these orbs all the time in spiritual senses as well, right? Now,
that's true.
Could it be that that's like, whereas you could have these large orbs what are like basically school buses of school kids on a field trip watching the Allies fight over Germany, and then you've got these smaller orbs which are people taking more of a personal journey to see people and, have that personal connection. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I think from what I understand,
what do you guys think at home?
Different. I think it's slightly different, but I know where you could. I know.
And do you think Dave Grohl has got anything to do with it?
No. No, not unless he was playing and he was boring the underworld.
Mate, I love it. Well, what do you guys think at home? I mean, Foo Fighters are a really interesting topic. I mean, you could call Foo Fighters UFOs across the board.
All these names.
I just love that it was like it was one of those kind of really good old what? It's those fucking like Foo Fighters again.
It was shell shock back then. Now it's not, is it? It's what is it? TSDB or something?
What, post-traumatic stress? PTSD.
Yeah, it's that now, which makes it sound softer.
Mate, we all getting PTSD off life at the moment. Getting PTSD about staying in my house. Do you know what I mean? It's like I can't take it anymore. I'm getting stressed.
There's only so much computering and looking at stuff and watching TV you can do.
It is true. I mean, anything you want to add on the Foo Fighters?
Good band, nice, yeah, do like him.
Yeah, like I say, good stuff. Ex-drummer for Nirvana. No, I mean,
basically, it's the same as what it is.
Well, what do you reckon? Do you reckon it's more? Do you reckon it could be man-made, or do you think it? I mean, I personally, I'm torn with this one, because, like I say. You could, when I say man-made, it could be man-made from a few different perspectives. It could be man-made from as a war weapon that was being tested. It could be technology that we've yet to understand from the future, but also it could be It could be drones from an alien species, or it could be them themselves coming down to have a gander. We don't know.
See, what makes me think... See, I sort of agree on one sense on that line because of Bill Rich, Skunkworks CEO, second CEO, with him saying that basically we're like 400 years in advance of anything that
we've seen on the market.
And if he's true in that case, there's other big players who've said this as well. If it's true in that case, then right, fair enough. They've been holding back, and one, they've been fucking us over.
Yeah,
because of the amount of pollution, poison, the amount we have to work at creating, like food or this, that, energy, stuff like that. Then they've been fucking us over. And if
we don't have it easy, a lot of us.
Well,
there's a few percent who do get, we chill and have a nice time of it. But majority of us, fucking hell, it's a slog, man, day to day.
If it's not, then it's
making your way in the world today takes everything you got.
It has to be. It has to be something else that we don't know and understand yet. And we're not clever enough to understand it yet.
Wouldn't you like to get away?
No.
Yeah. Anyway.
Fucking damn right.
Fucking sorry. Yeah. Got when the Cheers themes get stuck in your head, you've got to get it out, haven't you? Well, there you go. That's that's a lot of the stuff we've learned about Foo Fighters this week.
Yeah.
We've got an really good episode coming for you next week, where we're joined with a guest. There'll be more to come on that. During the week. And soon enough, indeed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what's next? We've got a featured podcast this week.
We have?
Hey, yeah, as usual.
Oh, yes, we do.
Sure. Right, yeah, so I can't find it. Right, our featured podcast this week is Cold Callers Comedy. They join the guys. They're really funny. They've got the comedians, who do a comedy podcast. So join them as they interview special guests, include performers from TV and stage,
Oh, right.
Yeah. And also put their movie knowledge to the test, as well as... Okay. So if you love films and stuff, and you love a bit of comedy, I know they also do, comedy parody tunes or comedy folk stylings or however you want to call it. So, yeah, get over to Cold Callers Comedy Podcast. They're available on iTunes and anywhere you get your podcast. I believe we've got a promo. So, here you go. Yeah.
So I've been asked to do some promo for these two lads, Ryan and Paul, for their podcast, Cold Callers Comedy. Quite honestly, I've never listened to it because it sounds like shit. But what I can tell you is that my show, Ardy's Hardest Acts, is one of the segments, and that is an absolute peaky blinder you can't miss out on.
Whoa, what the hell, Tom?
You meant to promote our show, not slag it off. I couldn't care less, mate.
Well, you should. You're on the podcast.
Yeah, how about a little gratitude? Rain, show them how grateful we are.
Your precious podcast. Gratefully accepted.
We're not giving it to you.
Admirable. What a mistake.
So yeah, listen to my show Cold Callers Comedy on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon and all the other podcast platforms.
The podcast rises. Come here.
Hey, cheers for that, fellas. So make sure you go and subscribe to the Comedy Cold Callers podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Cheers for that. And now I do believe that for those who are paying attention at home, that Taylor's got your second clue for this week's Chain Connections. So what is it, fella?
It is, you cannot live without no longer than 2 weeks.
Okay.
So you cannot live without this for more than 2 weeks. You can't live
for no longer than 2 weeks without this. Okay. I think I know what this week is. This one is this week. You've made it easy.
Don't tell the viewers.
Don't tell the people. If you can guess what it is, then well done.
Drop us a line.
So, anyway, we've been having a look. Obviously, every week we deliver... Oh, I think the cat's having a mad half hour. I know. She goes on a rocket-fueled adventure around the house. Well, each week we look for the most exciting news and headlines from around the globe, and this week's no different. So without further ado, again, the news.
The news.
It's the news! Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. And once more, hurrah for the news. For the news is back. Well, this week we've been looking around the world and found the craziest, weirdest news stories we can from this side of the cosmos and even a bit further. So, one news story that grabbed my attention this week. Well, it wasn't actually. I think it's breaking-ish news. For those, that's why it's at the top of the show, mate. Top of the news, right?
Yeah, got a bit.
Remember, we love a bit of Secure Team, yeah? Now, Secure Team was, if you don't know, it was your channel on YouTube for all things alien, UFO-related stuff. It was awesome, yeah.
Best thing out there.
For reasons we don't quite understand, no. There are a lot of stuff going on, I'm assuming, yeah. But Tyler is a great guy, and we always respected him for what he did on the Secure Team.
Man.
I got a friend request from Secure Team the other day, so I was like, well done. Cheers for that. I was a bit within the two minds whether it was really legit or not. But it does appear that Tyler is back, and he's got a new channel. Yeah.
Good. I hope he does well, man, because I really miss not listening to him.
I know, I love the Secure Team stuff, man.
It
was actually crazy because he started making headlines in the actual media, you know, because he was breaking stuff and people were picking up on the stories. Awesome to see that. And the fact that it was like, he'd bring up stuff that I'd be like, oh, I'd never heard of that before. And so... if you were into Secure Team the first time round and you want to show support for the new channel, all I can say is I know I've been sent this link, and it seems legit. It seems like it's Tyler's new channel. So get over. There's a link in the description, and support the guy, and support the channel if you liked what he did last time. So yeah, brilliant. What can you say? What more can you say? Come on the show and be a guest, Tyler.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'd love to see him on the show, man.
Yeah. Well, we've got some.
Should bring him on.
Some more news.
I have tried contacting him as well.
Well, he's contacted us now, so it's all right.
So
we'll see. The people want you to come on. Anyway, have you heard this? There was a guy who. Do you know when all these people who marry weird stuff, like I've married my toaster and all that. Yeah. There's a guy. I mean, this is at least it resembles a woman. Yeah. A bodybuilder who married his sex doll says he broke her just before Christmas. Oh, hang on. It's a sad tale.
It's a sad day when you break your rubber missus.
When you miss it, was it? Hang on. Go and get yourself a puncture repair kit.
Yeah, that's it.
How would you break your sex doll? I don't even want to answer that. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I don't think they're blown up nowadays. They're solid
latex.
That's a rubber. Yeah.
Well, as the story goes, a bodybuilder who married his sex doll reveals that she tragically broke just before Christmas. He's now waiting to see if he can get a new wife, I suppose. And he needs a replacement, innit? Didn't it come with a warranty?
Yeah, how's he going to explain his wife's dead?
She's being repaired, apparently.
Oh, she's being repaired? Yeah. Oh, right.
She's in another city, and you know what goes on in another city stays in another city. And at this point, mate, she's just another cheating lady in a different zip code.
Cheating bit of plastic.
Oh, shit. Anyway. So
you try and go,
you know what?
Yeah, bud.
It's like what I don't care what he was getting up to with it, but it's like, you know, what's this obsession with marrying inanimate objects?
No, it's I don't know.
Weird, isn't it?
It's psychological.
At least he's got a friend during this pandemic.
Well, yeah, but he couldn't exactly talk back or say no, don't do that.
Well, there's a lot of photos.
You know what I mean?
There's a lot of photos of him, posing.
Oh, I bet he's done a video as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's done videos. Yeah, you can find those on the YouTube if you what's he called? Yuri. Yeah, Yuri the bodybuilder.
Geller, is it?
No, he's a bodybuilder.
He's got rid of the spoons and brought in a rubber woman.
Fucking hell, the better thinking about. She's called Margot, actually. And he put a ring on her finger. He's married to Margot, so have a bit of respect.
Yeah,
it's his wife you're talking about.
Yeah. Hey, I weren't the one who destroyed her.
True,
you know what I mean? So...
true. It's like let's just hope. I'm just putting it out there. Yeah. He's a bit heavy-handed. Perhaps leave him with the plastic one. Yeah, right. Don't get him a real one. Right.
Yeah, or tone down on the old
the donkey punching.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Have you heard anything amusing in the newsing this week?
Amusing in the musing. I've heard of. Do you know what the count now of people, of the population of this planet from July 2020?
Well, I'm assuming it's less than it was last year. Go on, what?
Less?
More?
Less people?
Well, they said that they thought there might be a boom, didn't they, in terms of procreation during the pandemic and the lockdowns, but there hasn't been. I have read a report that suggested that people are a bit more actually not tonight, love, because they don't want to come down with corona.
Yeah, because I've heard as well that 2024.
Oh yeah, we've all heard this. Yeah, I think in fact, you yourself have brought it up on the show no more than at least 5 occasions.
I've got the lube ready.
He's ready. Anyway, fucking hell. He'll be sorely disappointed because he'll be like, I've got the lube, and everyone will be like, good for you.
Yeah, see you later.
See you in a bit, Taylor.
Up over there.
Sorry.
Well, no, apparently the approximated amount of people who are living on this planet as of now is 7.8 billion people.
Yeah, I thought it's
so 800.
That seems a little bit low.
Do you think that's a bit low?
Yeah, billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would have thought so.
Yeah, we weren't that far along when we reached 7 billion, you know what I mean? And everyone was like, oh...
so what does the Guidestone say that we need to be at? 5?
500 million.
500 million. So that's it's a lot more than they reckon for a start.
Well, I know. We're
pushing the
doing
limits,
well, aren't we? We're doing well for the stones.
It's like, fuck you, stones. Who are you piece of granite?
Where's a bulldozer?
Come round here with you telling me what to do. You're not from round here, right? Yeah,
if you think about it, like I've said before, we're only using about 3% of the earth as living quarters.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure all those National Trust peeps are going to be well thrilled with that and be like, oh no, you're building council houses on heritage land, and it's like, well, the guy needs somewhere to live, and it's like, we don't care. This is some historic peat.
Well, surprisingly, 96%.
I'm not saying it, you know, but no. There's a lot of Britain. There's a lot of Australia. Yeah. I mean, the outback is quite vast, and no one lives in it because it's a bit barren and a bit harsh. But what do you do with barren, harsh land? You make it a bit more livable and tolerable, or you try. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Hey, they did it in America. Look, Las Vegas, middle of fucking nowhere.
Middle of nowhere, yeah, man. They've got the biggest fucking... I bet they're not running on generators, are they? They couldn't, you know.
So you know what that shows you?
It can be done.
If you want a new town built, go and call the mafia.
Ah, well, no, because you could just colonise, like, you know, some other bit of land like that Elon Musk's doing. So, you know... I've got this story. Do you know Urban Outfitters? It's a shop.
I've heard the name.
Yeah, there's one in Manchester, I think. Yeah. They do a bit of this and a bit of that. But
I've been there for a while.
They've been selling these candle holders. Yeah, right. Nice idea. They look quite, you know, modern and, you know, nice little take on a candlestick holder, I suppose. They've had to recall them, thousands of them, because, get this, they set fire.
What?
Yeah, so imagine that. You're a fucking student. Yeah, you've got your candles burning. Yeah, and you've bought these Urban Outfit fucking candlesticks. And then
cheerful,
nice and cheap and cheerful, whatever. And it gets to the point where your candle's burning down, you need to replace it. And instead of like burning down into the little gully, it sets on fire. Yeah.
Oh, my
mate, I bet houses have been going up.
Why didn't they fucking test it before they sold it?
I know, it's like, what sort of stuff are you using?
They're using really
super
small,
flammable
thin candles.
stuff. No, super flammable plastic. So, if you've bought any candle holders from Urban Outfitters recently, about 5,600 items, they were made of resin, and obviously they're not allowed to be in circulation because they're dangerous. So there's our watchdog for the week. Hey, see, we say we were not down for community. I've got a what's it job this week. I'm not going to play the jingle, but I've been including these little jobs that I find. A company here is seeking a paid candyologist. Do you want to taste candy for a living? Then this is
the some candy.
Do you want to entice kiddies into you?
I'll get a candy stick.
Canadian company seeking a full-time and part-time, so you can 2 jobs going, a full and part-time candyologist to taste test for the company's confections.
It sounds like a wicked job for someone.
Well, yeah, get on it. Candy Funhouse is based in where's this? Oh, I don't even know. Ontario, somewhere in Ontario. And basically you can work for $47,000. No, it's £47 an hour. $47 an hour. I would say $40,000 million. No, it's at $47 an hour, which I think for $50 an hour to taste sweets and candy. And then review them.
But look at all you're gonna have to as soon as you've sucked on a couple of sweeties, you're gonna have to rinse your mouth, brush your teeth to give a proper test.
Yeah. Well, check this out. It may sound really good, but they've got over 3,000 candies and chocolates.
3,000.
Yeah, so that's a lot of testing.
Well, yeah, $50 an hour.
Well, they should be. Any candidate should be very enthusiastic about tasting and trying confectionery products. Obviously, and if you want to go online, you can apply up until the 15th of February if you're in the local area and you want some sweeties for a living. If you want to taste sweets for a living, then you do that. Anything else?
Would you take that job?
I'd take that job in a heartbeat, mate.
What, really?
Yeah. If somebody said, do you want to taste gummy bears and stuff and lollipops, I'd be like, what? And you'll pay me $50 an hour to do it?
To suck on a lollipop?
Suck on a lollipop.
Yeah, there's some fucking fishy here, mate. Yeah,
I'd say, listen,
G. No one's lollipop.
I'd say, listen, my teeth are fucked already. Hand me the sherbet.
Might as well get paid for it.
Yeah, give me the sherbet. Well, all that money you're making, you can go and get brand new pegs.
Yeah, well, yeah, true. Yeah, but depends how are you going to do on the shifts? You're going to have to come in for a day and do an hour's
there's
work?
a full-timer and a part-timer, isn't there? So it's like you give the part-timer all the really, really rotten stuff, like all the sour stuff. Yeah. You'd be like, this is your pile to test today.
Yeah.
So I've just
strawberry, that's mine.
I'm eating flumps and nice stuff, like really good stuff over here.
Give him the nasty shit. Give him the custard when you have the pie.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So anything that you've come across in the news this week?
Yes, I have. Thank you.
No, come on, enlighten us. I've got some really bizarre stuff, man. What about WhatsApp? It's an app.
Well, yeah, but surprisingly, WhatsApp have lost millions of users after their new terms and conditions put out an update.
Why? Because it was. Is it something to do with the privacy or really, the kind of encryption of it?
Well, 7.5 million users have terminated with him.
Great Scott.
And that's like worldwide. Over the first 3 weekends that
of the year. Yeah.
They were, now this is the surprising bit, they were in the UK the 8th most downloadable app.
Yeah, on the Play Store or iTunes or whatever.
What do you reckon they are now?
Probably 15.
Try under 1,000.
No way. Seriously, they've dropped that much?
Seriously. Yeah, because...
So what is it? What was in the terms and conditions? What was it in the terms and conditions that made everyone change their mind? Because, I mean, I've not seen anything and I'm still using WhatsApp, so come on.
Well, they're always sending terms and conditions.
But I've not seen anything, though. So what was it that made everybody abandon WhatsApp? Or is it... Now, you see, I've always think there's a saturation point, isn't there, right, with stuff like this, right? It's like you got a free app, right, and all of a sudden... and you launch it and it's a free app and all of a sudden it's number one in the downloaded charts because everyone wants to download it, and then all of a sudden everyone's got it. Is it a surprise that it's gone down in the charts? No, it isn't a surprise.
I think they've done the right thing.
It makes me think, it's not that people aren't downloading it anymore, it's that the people who want to use it have already got it and it's not attracting any new customers. You have to
download it again when you get onto another phone. So it will be downloaded by more people.
Technically, you can actually keep your WhatsApp connected to your old phone number. Yeah,
but you still have to download it on the new phone.
Yeah, sort of.
So you still have to. So they'll still be on the downloads.
Well, I suppose there will be people downloading it. But what I'm talking about is not in record numbers that would make it stay in the high charts. Do you know what I mean? It always gets put in these high-ranking, or popular app charts or
but
featured.
then they get a bit cocky, and then the government gets involved and go, right, well, we want you to tell us about this, this, and this. Oh, right, so now we've got to put terms and conditions in. But I think the people have done the right thing. They've looked at the terms and conditions and gone, no, I ain't having none of that. And it's right, because people do not look at the terms and conditions, and that's where your legalese is, and that's where people need to look before they actually sign anything on.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know what I mean? It's one of them things, and they're getting more cheekier and cheekier and getting more and more data out of you. And they're legally only allowed to do it when you say, yeah, I sign on to this app. You know what I mean?
Always read the small print, people, because you don't, do you? It's like you could tick that box and then they could come round and go, I'm here for your kidneys. Yeah, and you'd be like, what? You'd be like, well, you tick the box.
Well, they reckon they ain't bothered because they got an extra 25 million people in there, but they got caught out because it wasn't 25 extra people, it was 25 million more same people that they had already in there.
Upgraded the app or downloaded the update or whatever.
Yeah.
Funny that. I've got this mad story. All right then, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Right. It's a bit of a morbid one, but how do you want to go? Do you want to be shot off by a rocket into space? Do you want to be cremated, buried with all your jewels? What's the plan?
My plan, I'd love to go out in a shootout if possible.
No, I mean, but after the shootout. Do you know what I mean? Like, how are you getting? What are they doing with your remains?
Oh, my God! I won't be buried.
Buried, yeah, buried with all my gold from the heist that you went out from the shootout. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, buried me with it.
There's a company in Kent that's came up with a new way of disposing of the body or recomposing, if you like. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's the first company. Basically, it's going to be it's a
Space
composting
rockets.
Funeral home.
It's what?
A composting funeral home. It's open for business. It's mate. Honestly, it's a new idea. So it's think of it as way like you're basically putting yourself. It's just like being buried. But you're being reused. It's being put back into the earth, putting back into crops, stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's being buried and cremated. Must be cremated beforehand and thrown in.
No, you're literally being left to
feed the worms and all that. To
turn into compost. Yeah, apparently.
Oh,
you're basically stored in a big honeycomb pod. Yeah, right. It's seriously. There's a big honeycomb structure in a warehouse. Basically, each hexagon is enclosed a steel cylinder full of soil, and you put in that, and then natural organic decomposition.
Oh, so it only feeds the soil that's in the
but then you can be used. Basically, I'm not sure if if it can be used later on. But think of it in the way of like starships, right? Like. If you were in space, and you're on a 5-year mission in uncharted space or whatever, and you've got crops, you're trying to look for sustainable ways of living, aren't you?
Yeah,
right?
so try down there.
Even the Mars colonies will be in a situation where they might not have growable soil, and this could be. An answer for that, but also on a sentimental level, you could say, well, that compost's bagged up and then it's used to plant a tree in memory of. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I can see why. I can totally see why people would buy into this. Yeah, from a futuristic.
I can see for the futuristic kind of thing, and I'd be doing what I planned on doing anyway. He's like just lying in the ground.
It was a really weird story, but like really quite quite.
Yeah, it's quite an ingenious way.
Yeah, exactly. Of being
getting rid of the waste, but
you're basically using. I mean, it's not as bad as kind of like the Soylent Green. If you ever heard of that, use in a futuristic dystopia where they were using human bodies to feed the masses. It was called Soylent Green. I can't remember what that was off. I'm sure some listener will enlighten me. Well, there you go. I've got another story here. Yeah, right. Do you know TSA?
Yeah.
Right. They're the agents around airports. They do all the questioning and stuff like that.
This
guy's basically been convicted of tricking women into showing them the boobies or the breasts at LAX. Don't know if anyone's come across this fella, But he's a woman basically told investigators that he told her to he had to look inside her bra to ensure that she wasn't hiding anything, and had to hold her pants away from her waist while he checked. These are not taking your fucking position. I mean, I thought people had to be screened as well as be like, you know, not do these things on their own. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like,
you think that they'd be like at least
a CRB check.
Yeah, and accompanied by, you know, you wouldn't think that these people would be in a situation where they'd have to be, you know, especially if I was asked to be patted down, I'd say, well, I want at least another member of staff here to make sure you're not being a bit pervy or whatever.
Yeah, I think you should have second member of staff. I think you've got to have two people
taking the positions to that. Well, he's been convicted anyway, so well done you.
Yes.
Have you heard this about a scientist have made the first invisible solar panels? Just looks like a plain piece of glass.
All right.
Yeah,
so it
cool.
just looks like a piece of glass on your
roof.
roof.
Imagine a piece of glass, like a glass tile. Yeah. So it's basically, so it's basically come from Korean. A Korean scientist invented it, and they're using it. They reckon it could be used in cell phones as a power supply. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's pretty interesting.
That'd work.
Well, basically, solar panel converts light into electricity. According to the study, it was for the combination of nickel oxide and titanium dioxide is what makes it translucent. So they reckon used for cell phones, you could have that as the screen, but it's also charging your phone potentially. That's cool, man.
True. Yeah. Well, it's good. Yeah, one thing can lead to another.
Exactly.
Yeah,
anything you want to talk about?
No, I've just got NASA now.
I've got a couple of NASA stories. I've got this one. Recent study of fossilized dinosaur butthole gives insight into dinosaurs' sex life. Apparently, they like anal.
He likes
true.
Anal.
It's a true story. This is a scientific study. A fossil was recovered in North China, which belongs to a Pisicosaur. Yeah, right. I'm not a paleontologist. It was a dinosaur smaller than the size of a Labrador, and whilst many birds and reptiles considered like what is it? A koaka. I don't know, the koaka.
A koaka. Koaka is what a bird does.
The one found in dinosaurs' remains were basically distinctive to someone who takes it up the bum. No, I'm only joking. No, seriously, seriously, they've been checking it out. So, what?
Well, you know, scientists are bored sometimes. They do look in the weirdest areas, but then again, they do come up trumps sometimes as well.
It's true.
So.
This is the story. I'm not making it up.
Yeah,
anyway,
I doubt it. Yeah,
so come on, give us your NASA news this week.
All right, human colony moving to floating asteroid in the Kuiper Belt.
Yeah.
In they reckon 15 years time.
Okay.
Says asteroid.
So what? We could be all living up in the Kuiper Belt.
Yeah, they reckon that we're going to have a good colony there by then. But that means.
Be honest.
Oh shit! Sorry.
2024, we're supposed to land on the moon and on
living
Mars.
on Mars. Yeah.
So we're talking what 2027 we hit another moon or something, you know, a bit further out. Then maybe 2030, 35 we have some more colonies, you know, in different areas. I suppose depending on the speed of how NASA and the rest of the, you know, companies come together and actually bring it, then actually that we can actually go out there and things get a lot cheaper as well.
Yeah.
Then the faster we're going to get up there.
Yeah. This is it. I mean, in terms of colonization, living out at the moment, if you think about with the ISS, we're already kind of doing it. We're living in low Earth atmosphere, or some of us, and not us, but like, you know, having a colony, almost sort of like in space rather than actually being inhabiting a planet. It's this is what I was saying earlier with this composting thing. That kind of makes sense in those ways, because obviously you won't have fresh earth to plant your crops in, that type of thing. So, colonizations, it's a big sort of topic, isn't it, in terms of where we're going to be in the future. And what's the inspiration behind it? Why is everyone so eager to leave the Earth at the moment, by a certain time? It is quite puzzling.
Another country as well has started, has joined the space race as well. They've just done an airplane that can fly in space. I can't remember it was. I think it might be
is this
South
the
Korea
passenger, like a passenger spacecraft or whatever? Yeah.
So we've got another country on board there. So things are looking good for things in space, but I'm looking at where the accidents are going to be as well, to be honest. Yeah. Because when you rush, there's going to be accidents created along the way.
And we're going to be joined next week with our guest who's got a lot of interesting things to say about NASA. So make sure you come back for that. This week, SpaceX, they've kind of made plans for their new launches, haven't they? What's happening over 2021. There's so much going on, actually, at the minute. Do you know what I mean?
There's definitely a lot of space stuff going on at the minute, and it's good to see.
Well, I think they've tweaked the launch date now for the Starliner. It's got an overdue mission apparently for Crew Dragon, which they keep putting off.
See,
for some reason.
Must be a good reason.
I'm sure there is. Weather this time, they said. They've put it off because of extreme weather conditions. SpaceX have also put out on social media about wormholes.
All right.
Yeah, so they're talking about the explanation of wormholes, and they've kind of put it up in the air. Their understanding might have been a bit different all this time, maybe.
Oh, right, okay. I'll have to have a look into that.
I'll try and get you a bit more information right now. So the US Space Agency teamed up with Elon Musk SpaceX in May to launch the first manned rocket from American soil in nearly a decade. Yeah. The rocket was a NASA icon. The worm logo, obviously throwing back to the finger. Obviously their old logo. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to be more to do with they were going on about wormholes where I can't in fact really see much about it in the article, to be honest.
Oh, I'll have to have a look for the article.
I don't know. Do you know? Hang on.
We've got more. Well, do you want me to get?
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. Another NASA bit of news is that Chinese scientists actually quantum teleported using two hovering drones, which they they're on the next step on quantum internet computing.
Right, okay.
So what they've done is over a mile or 1 kilometre, 0.6 miles or 1 kilometre, they've had a station, and then they put a drone up in the sky, and then another one a bit in between, and then down below about 0.6 miles
a little bit underneath
away.
That, and a bit around the corner there's another one.
Yeah, and
that's what they're saying about wormholes here as well.
So they've got that through now, and done the first steps, I reckon, to quantum computing in the internet. Yeah, it's
quantum computing. It's one of them. I mean, it's like it's what are they doing with it? Is it going to make my Netflix not buffer or whatever?
Yeah, basically. He's going to...
So I was talking wormholes a minute ago, right? Yes. So I don't know why that article was going on about I know it was talking about the worm logo, which is obviously really
Sometimes
cool.
They like to gab shit before they actually give you the story.
So wormholes may be lurking in the universe, and new studies are posing ways of finding them. Wormholes are interesting ones, aren't they? Because obviously, speculation to where they're going to lead.
1946.
Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity profoundly changed our thinking about the fundamental concepts of physics, such as space and time, but also left us with some deep mysteries. Black holes were one of them. Wormholes another. Wormholes are still in the realms of imagination, but some scientists think that we'll soon be able to find them too.
Not supposing a certain scientist, 1946, we sent up a satellite between us and the sun, and there's something there between the changing of the particles of the sun hitting our protected layer.
Yeah.
And it selected four wormholes. It was said to have been, there was 4 wormholes out there, and now they've got 4 permanent satellites there watching him, and they are slightly there's no kind of timings to them.
They reckon that the fabric of space-time could be curved or even denser around these things, so they may be able to find them by using the how dense space-time is, I suppose. Apparently the theory allows the fabric of space-time to be stretched and bent. One can imagine all sorts of possibility configurations. This is Einstein, basically.
Yeah, it's the pencil through the hole, isn't it, through the piece of paper.
But also says some wormholes can be traversable, meaning humans may be able to travel through them. But trying to find them, it's a different story, isn't it? I mean, they're trying to come up ways of spotting them. And basically radiation is a key in the differing between a wormhole and a black hole, for one. Gamma rays and other types of radiation obviously help detect. Pretty interesting stuff. I like the fact that they're looking, and but I love the idea of what could be laying beyond the wormhole. Is it a different point in space in our space-time, or somewhere else in quite entirely?
I wouldn't thought in our lifetime we'll find that out, to be honest.
Well, quantum computers might be able to answer it, and like you were saying, once you get them going proper.
Yeah, but once you
crank it up, boot it up,
event
switching it off and on again,
it's gone. You can't get no information from it.
Right, we'll see what happens.
Because it's been broken apart.
Well, who knows? I mean, this is the thing. It's like, what would we do? I mean, it's like we were talking about the Foo Fighters earlier about potentially being pilot orbs, or surveillance, reconnaissance.
That kind
that's
of
what
stuff
you do. If we found a wormhole that was reachable, for one, and was easily kind of accessible and experimented, we could experiment on it, then the first thing we'd do was send a probe or a drone through it, and one or two things would happen. We'd get signals all the way through and be able to see what's on the other side, or it'd get destroyed part way through, and then what do you do? You build another one and hopefully try and work out what went wrong the first time, take the information you got off that flight and say, right, well, we'll try and not do that again, send another one through, that'll get destroyed. And then you go, mate,
guarantee a penny to a pound that someone in CERN's already thinking of that and already have thought of that, and thinking, right, let's make a wormhole and test this thing, and then that's where the mistake's
it's funny, actually, you were talking about quantum teleportation earlier, actually, because they reckon that could be something that a black hole or a wormhole does.
It's possible. Which could lead to string theory as well. It could access, because parts of that's supposed to be we're in through time. Different time zones.
Right. Well, I think that's all we've got a bit of time for today. So
we've got last bit of the riddle, have we?
What?
Last bit.
We've got one last bit of the riddle.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the riddle now.
Well, you best be quick.
Yes, I've got it. The last part is you can get it from a lot of different places.
You can get it from a lot of different places.
You can get it from
You've really made it easy this week, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
there you
I
go.
think it's easy. I'll tell you why afterwards.
Okay, well, moving on. We best crack on because we're really running out of time. Big shout out we've got to all our Patreons for all your help and support. Somebody asked the other day, can we make more videos and does it cost us more? Saying actually it does at the moment because we've got no lights and you know, if you want to help us get some better equipment and always, you know, keep the lights on literally.
Donate what you can, or
you know, you can always
Patreon.
help us over on patreon.com/Neverstraightanswer.
Or even buy a cup.
Yeah, big shout out to our patrons who supported us. Big J.
Yes, Big J.
Swoosh.
Yeah. Swooshy wooshy.
And Dunk Dunk.
Dunk Dunk.
Yay, we've got some honourable mentions. Big shout out to is it Nathan who won this week, Smarty Pants. Harriet over at Christabel Crafts. Jesse G, Gareth, Big Papa Smurf, the Duke of Marmalade, Jimmy, and everyone else, Charlotte, Jez, Liz, Big Red Jake, everyone who listens to the show, thank you so much. You really, from the bottom of our hearts. Thanks to our featured podcast this week, who's Comedy Callers, and I hope we've enjoyed hope you've enjoyed the show.
Yes, because we have.
We're available on all podcast platforms. So wherever you get your podcast, you'll find us there. So make sure you tell your friends and subscribe. If you want to get in touch and have any questions for us or comments, you can email us at neverstraightanswer@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at NASA_never. We're also on Instagram at Never a Straight Answer. We're available everywhere you get your podcasts. So
come along.
There you go. Well, it's been another week. We're back next week with a great episode. So don't forget to tune in. All I can say is I've been Gaz, he's been Taylor, and we'll catch you next time for another episode of Never a Straight Answer. Peace.